Yo guys, welcome to the Beast Life 24/7 podcast. I'm your host, Christopher Lopez. This is episode number 3. So before we dive into episode number 3, what I want to do is tell you to head over to SoundCloud, iTunes, Anchor, or YouTube and subscribe to this podcast. There's going to be a lot of good information up on here for guys to help build their ideal life, get stronger in the gym, build stronger businesses, and get the success that you deserve. If you haven't heard my story, after this episode, go back and listen to episode number 1. You get a feel for who I am, what I'm about, and hopefully it helps you guys get on the fast track to bettering your day, and hopefully ultimately bettering your life. All right, so episode number 3. What we're going to talk about in episode number 3 is fear, and what the negative stigma is around fear, and why you shouldn't look at it that way, because fear could do more for you than you think. So, long story short, you guys know I own a gym, right? And and about five and a half years ago, I opened up the gym with no money, signed a lease with no clients, and figured it out on the way down. Now, I'd be lying to you if I told you I wasn't scared. Right? Anything worth doing has a little bit of fear attached to it. And you almost have that uneasy feeling, right? Your senses are heightened. Your heart rate is up. You kind of get this uneasy feeling, these butterflies, and you make the final decision. When I signed that lease, I didn't know what the fuck I was going to do. I didn't have any clients. I didn't know one person in Jackson. I had no money. I had like $200 worth of gym equipment that I bought on Craigslist. I didn't have a business plan. I didn't have things in place. I just decided to take a jump and figure it out. Was it the smartest thing? Probably not. I probably should have did more planning. But in my eyes, it was a necessity. It was something necessary that I had to do, and it was a burning desire in my gut and in my heart to take the jump. I was tired of working for people, and I was tired of not getting what I wanted out of life. Maybe that sounds a little selfish, but you ultimately have to take care of yourself first, and then everything else will fall into place. So I'd be lying to you if I wasn't a little scared, a little uneasy, felt a little weird about making a decision, something that I never did before. I mean, nobody in my family really owned a business. My dad did briefly for a while, but he doesn't anymore. And I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have somebody telling me what to do or how to do it or what not to do. So I messed up quite a bit. I made some major mistakes. But at the end of the day, when it comes to having that uneasy feeling, the elevated heart rate, the heightened senses, the butterflies, you have to understand something, okay? It's only fear if you allow yourself to look at it as fear. The cool thing about fear, those feelings you get, the sensations you get when it comes to fear, it's the same sensations you get when you're excited about something. It's the same thing. So, and I didn't know this at the time. This is something that came to me later on. So when you're excited about something, you have heightened senses, your heart rate's elevated, you have butterflies, you get a little uneasy, get a little antsy, a little upbeat. It's the same fucking thing as fear. Think about it. But it's up to you to reframe how you view it. Fear is negative. Excitement is positive. Okay? Depending on how you look at it. Some people look at fear as a positive thing, but most people don't. They look at fear and they retract. They put their tail between their legs and they turn the other way, or they stop doing what they're doing because they get that they don't know how to deal with the feelings that they get when it comes to this. So I'm here to tell you that you want that feeling. You want to do something that gives you that feeling where you don't know what the F is going to happen, but you do know that there's some desire inside of you to do it. You have to stop making mediocre decisions, living a mediocre life. Think about it. There's plenty of people listening to this that go to a 9-to-5 job that they hate, many of whom, and we're in Jersey, Central Jersey, many of whom travel to New York City, an hour and a half both ways, right? So you think about that. That's about at least 2 hours total per day, right? There's 365 days in a year, right? If you commuted to the city 7 days a week, which most people don't, but if you do, that's like 700 hours of wasted time that you are spending building somebody else's life, building somebody else's dream, working for another business. If you don't like what you're doing, figure out a plan B. It doesn't have to be like necessarily like right this moment. You don't have to go into work and say, Chris from the podcast told me to give my 2 weeks, so I'm out. But start to think about what you can do to further your situation and better yourself. Now, that said, most people have dreams and hopes and things that they want to accomplish, or maybe they did before they had kids and before they had a family and before they got tied up in this dead-end job that's killing you. Right? And that stuff is still there, right? So those things you wanted to do when you were in high school and maybe early on in college that you never got to do, travel, whatever, start a business, that stuff is still there. You're hiding it from yourself because you're telling yourself there's no way for that stuff to happen at this point. There's no way for you to accomplish what you wanted to accomplish 10, 20, 30 years ago. I'm here to tell you that there is. But you have to be okay with the fact that it's not going to be easy and that you might feel some fear. And now the fear is going to be amplified because you haven't felt it in such a long time, because you've suppressed it, you've tucked it away, because you are content and you are sitting in a job that you hate, but it's comfortable. It's something that is easy. You know, you clock in at 9, you clock out at 5, you have the rest of your night free, you go home and watch Game of Thrones or whatever you do. And that's that. But are you really living with purpose? Are you really living, doing something meaningful with your life? Doing something meaningful for yourself? Doing something that's fulfilling? If you're not, and you start tapping into that again, you will feel fear. You will feel that excitement. You will feel the butterflies. You will feel the uncertainty. But you have to strive towards that. You have to reach towards that. Because if you don't, there's a good chance you're going to be on your deathbed and you're going to have regrets. That's the last thing you want to do. Fear shows us the things we need to work on. If you're scared of something, there's a good chance you probably have to do it. That's why people say face your fears. Face your fears. You have to stand up to that fear face to face. And if you're not doing that, you're not growing, you're not learning, you're not becoming a better person, you're not becoming stronger. But people don't like the uneasiness and the uncertainty of fear. It hurts. It sucks. You know? When I opened my gym, I was scared shitless. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. Clueless. Scared. Didn't know one person in Jackson. Didn't have a business plan. Didn't have anything lined up. Had no clients. I told the landlord I had a ton of clients. I had no clients. I had zero. I stole one of my clients from the other gym I was working at, who was a friend of mine. And so he doesn't really count. I mean, like, he's my buddy. And there were weeks where I lived at the gym. There were weeks where I slept there because I didn't have enough money to drive 40 minutes home. I didn't have enough money for gas. There were times when, you know, I worked out with the lights off. There were times when I did things that I wasn't sure that I was going to make it out. So I'm here to tell you that that's the stuff you need to do. Unless you want to live that mediocre life, and unless you want to live unfulfilled, and unless you want to just remain stagnant and comfortable and be okay with being okay, then that's different. But I guarantee you that stuff that you wanted to do 10, 20, 30 years ago is still in there. But you're afraid to pull it back out because you don't know what that can mean down the road. And I urge you to look at that stuff, write it down again, and revisit it. Check it out. Fear is worth tapping into. It's worth it. I'm here to tell you from experience that it's worth it. If you haven't listened to yesterday's episode, I would go and do that now. Because those are 3 things that you need to do. Once you start tapping into the fear and doing things that excite you and doing things that give you that feeling of uneasiness, you start tapping into that and you're okay with doing that, then there's 3 things that you need to do. And that's in yesterday's episode number 2. Go check that out. Before I go, guys, I just want to remind you that this podcast is on iTunes. It is on SoundCloud. It's on Anchor. and it's on YouTube. So go to one or all of those media streams and subscribe. There's going to be a ton of stuff going up on this podcast. A lot of cool information to help you live your best life. So I appreciate you guys making it this long. It's kind of a short one today, about 10 minutes. But hopefully the message hits home and hits you pretty hard. Because I think it is something that a lot of guys live with, and it is something that a lot of guys struggle with, and they don't want to admit it because it's not cool to be scared of something. But at the end of the day, you have to make sure that you are living with passion and you're doing something that you want to do. And the only way to do that is to strive for the situations that give you that uneasy feeling and that make you fearful. The fear is going to test your limits. It's going to make you see what you're made of. And as long as you're okay with that, you will reap the benefits and life will get much, much better. Thank you guys. I'll see you in the next episode.